Hey, hello, here we are, day number 11, and today we're going to talk a little bit about pronunciation and the tones in Thai. Thai is not a language, it's very easy to pronounce, and it's also a tonal language. And what that means is that if you change the tone of a word, then you can actually change the meaning of the word as well. Let's say in Chinese, for example, is also a tonal language. So Chinese, Cantonese, all the Chinese dialects, Vietnamese, Thai, and also a few languages spoken in India, if I'm not mistaken, have tones. So let's give you an example. So in Chinese, the word for to kiss is ren, and to ask is wen. So the same word, the same syllable, but then with another tone. And if you want to say 我问一下，我可以问一下吗? Like can I ask it? And you say 我可以问一下吗? It means can I kiss you instead of can I ask you. So it's really important to get those tones right, and most of the time in context, and people see the expression on your face, and I guess they see the difference. They can see from the expression on your face that you're not trying to kiss them or something. So most of the time the context makes it clear what you want, but in order to speak a language properly, it's important to get these tones right.
Right, Thai pronunciation. Now, I think a lot of people will instinctively feel that pronunciation in Thai is very, very hard. Now, I'm in a position where I've been learning for 10 days or so. I'm sure my pronunciation leaves a lot to be desired, but I do feel like I've got some understanding now of the particular challenges of Thai pronunciation. So I can talk about the extent to which I understand that based on my knowledge of other languages. And I think that's really the key for me, that the fact that I know Cantonese and also Arabic, which is not a tonal language, but it's a challenging language phonetically. The fact that I know those languages means that the interesting features of Thai haven't particularly fazed me so much, and that's been a big advantage, because I think pronunciation in Thai doesn't strike me as particularly difficult, but what it is different. So if you are learning your first foreign language, say from English, or maybe you only know other European or Romance languages, then there are certain elements of Thai which, whilst I don't think they're very, very hard, do take time to get used to. You've got, for example, the tones, obviously, which if you're learning your first tonal language, that's tough. You've got sounds which don't exist or are less common in English, such as the the and other ones as well. You've also got long and short vowels, which are very, very difficult for the English ear to hear, because for us in English, vowels tend to be unstressed syllables, which means you can pretty much say any syllable, any vowel, and the word will still be intelligible. Not so in Thai. You have to be very careful with the long and short vowels. So, for example, in the word Thai, Thai is short, and leo, I guess it should be. Leo is long. And so that's, of all of the different elements actually, the long and short vowels has been the hardest one for me to pick up on. I had the same problem in Cantonese.
So how do you do it? What's the best way to learn tones? Well, I don't know what the best way is, but I can tell you a few things that really helped for me. When I learned my first tonal language, which was Mandarin Chinese, that was about 7 or 8 years ago, I took Mandarin courses in China, and during the first weeks we would only focus on pronunciation and getting the tones right. And I think that has really helped me, because in the beginning, after only a few weeks, we got the tones. We understood the tones very well. We could produce them. We also learned how to shape our mouth and where to position our tongue. In Mandarin, you have a few words which are difficult to pronounce, like "te" is like, for example, is car, for example. Many foreigners have difficulties. Also, the difference between xiang and shang, for example, the x and the sh in pinyin.
Right from the beginning, like lesson 1, get a good teacher who can help you notice the features of pronunciation that you need to notice, help you recognize them, and then from that point on, you can start to work on them and introduce them into your own language. The key with pronunciation is that you have to be able to hear before you can produce, and so the real key to the puzzle here is to make sure that right from the beginning you're not figuring it out by yourself. In terms of actually practicing and working on it, I have been using the kind of English transliteration, Roman transliteration system with the marks for everything, and especially after our chat with Stuje, if I was learning for any longer than 14 days, then the next thing I would do right away would be to learn to read and write, because in Thai, so much of the pronunciation and the tones is embedded in the script, and I think from what I've seen anyway, the Romanized transliteration system is not, if anything, it's damaging, because it just doesn't accurately reflect the pitch, for example. As Stuje was explaining to me, tones are not about pitch, they're about mouth position, and the tones are a natural consequence of the way that you position your mouth. All of this stuff is embedded into the reading and writing, into the Thai script, and so I think long term what's absolutely essential is to learn to read and write. Again, it's just beyond the scope of this 14-day challenge. I would have spent the entire time learning to read and write. But I think going back to the UK now, I'm going to be learning to read and write, because it's beautiful for a start. I love the way it looks. I would like to be able to read and write for sure, and I think that will be the key to unlocking Thai pronunciation moving forward into the future.